Flying solo today. Hey there, English teachers, and welcome to another very special episode of the More Than English podcast. I am your host, Jesse, and I want to help you in the classroom. One of the best ways that I know how to do that is by inviting some of the top teachers, teacher trainers, examiners, and specialists in education so they can share their secrets, their tricks, their tips, activities, lessons, philosophy, really anything they want to share and bring it to you to help you have better classes, to help you have a less stressed teaching life, and to be more effective in the classroom. Because ultimately, I know that's what we all want, isn't it? We want to be more effective. We want to be more helpful and engaging in these classes. And today certainly is no exception. Actually, today is kind of an exception because I don't have a special guest. You're just stuck with me for the next however long this episode lasts. So don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about several things about teaching philosophy, teaching ideas. What I have today, I want to talk to you today about adapting, adjusting. We've talked about it several times. We've talked about it with Harry. We've talked about it with Terry. We've talked about it several times about adjusting ideas that you find. You know, you probably Google ESL team ideas or ESL Halloween ideas this time of year, or fun speaking activities, something like that. You could just go to Sweed Academy and go to free lessons and resources. And I have speaking lessons, writing lessons, listening lessons, reading lessons, projects for you to do. But also, it's good to have many resources. But then sometimes we take those and try to just copy, paste from the Google search to our lesson, and it doesn't always work, right? Maybe somebody's style is different than mine. Maybe somebody is preparing their lesson for a class of 12 and I only have a class of 4, right? How do we modify? How do we adapt? Adaptation, as we've said many times, is one of your best friends as a teacher. Being flexible, being able to adapt, being able to modify lessons and modify lessons on the fly, right? Modify lessons in an activity. If something's working, you have one thing planned, but it's kind of going in another direction, investigate that direction. Let it go and see where it goes. It could go to someplace different. And that's what I've done for a couple of the activities that we've learned from these previous episodes. So what I have today, I have 2 activities that, for one that Harry Waters has shared and one that Terry Lodge has shared. And I will share with you actually how I've used these in my classes and have adapted them to my style in my particular classes. Some by accident and some planned. So I'll show you how I did that and help you be able to do that. And also I have 2 lessons of my own, 2 types of activities on my own to share, new activities that I've never shared before. I'm going to share those with you too. So hopefully it's going to be a full lesson, a good lesson, and you will get a lot out of it. Before we continue, let me just remind you that wherever you're listening to this, if you are listening to it on Facebook, YouTube, well, first, if you're listening to me on YouTube, know that there is audio versions. There is an audio version that's available on Spotify, Apple, the iTunes Store, Google Play, Android, really anywhere where you get podcasts. And I channel that through Anchor. So if you know Anchor, just go there and search the More Than English podcast. If you're listening to my voice and you're not watching the episode, know that there is a video form. There is a video version on YouTube, youtube.com/Sweed Academy. So wherever you are listening to this or watching this, each version has a little different format. The audio version has a little different style intro and ending to like wrap everything up, and the video format obviously has video and slides for you to be a little more engaged. But wherever you're watching this, do rate, comment, and give it a thumbs up if you're here, and I will be ever so grateful. You see, I have a little different style when I'm here by myself and I'm not talking to somebody, but we're going to get through this anyway. And I don't know if I'll keep the same energy. Probably not. It'll probably die down. But what else? Let's get into it. Teaching is all about modifying and adapting things to your style, right? Adaptation. You have to adapt in classes when teens are kind of going crazy. You have to adapt when teens are being sleepy and tired, and you have to adapt when kids are gonna be kids, right? You have something planned. You have 8, 9 activities planned. Maybe you'll get through 4 of them. Maybe you think that the kids will love it and they'll get into it. They don't. And maybe you've gone through all of your activities and you still have 15 minutes, right? Adaptation. It's something that it's a continual process. But once you do it, once you learn really how to adapt, right? You can include it. It helps you in all areas of life because life is about adaptation, right? Everything's so random. I could get a text message here today, but I did put my phone on silence today. So we do have that. And in the classroom, it's no exception. So let's get into the first activity and give you a reminder of the first lesson. And the first lesson that I've adapted is from Harry's podcast. He shared about City Race. And in case you want a refresher, in case you don't know about City Race, I'll just put that right up here and let you check that out when you want. But City Race, it's essentially to build vocabulary. You can also build sentences and anything you want with it. Take it anywhere your students need. But essentially, he loved capital cities, he said. So he tries to incorporate what he loves into the class. That's beautiful. That's why he's a top professional. And so he wrote a capital city. He elicited capital cities, which I did to my classes, elicited capital cities. They'll come up with some crazy capitals, right? So you write them on the board. Then you choose one and then you write it vertically. And you have the students do that in their papers, in pairs or in groups. Give them a certain time limit and have them write a word for each letter in the capital city. You remember? So I did this, right? I had them get into groups and I had that, or pairs actually, because it was a smaller class, 6 students and a lower level class. So I didn't make very many restrictions on the vocabulary words since it is an A2 level class. That's a beginner level class. But what I did do, as I said in the episode with Harry, I did have predictions of my own. I did do my own version. And I said, if they have the same word that I do, then I get the points. And if they come up with a unique word, they got 2 points. And if they shared a word, it was 1 point. Or, maybe it was a 5 and 1 point or something like that. I forget exactly the points. But it's always good to give points, right? Points are always good. Don't underestimate the value of points because whether they're kids or adults, like it adds a little motivation, right? Just try it one class and see if it adds some motivation and color in the class, right? But so what I did, I did my own acrostic, and at the given time, I think I did it where the first team who finished, they could start writing it on the board. And whenever the first team finishes everything, the game stops. So we came up with that. Anyway, the rules, you can adapt for anything you want. I think next time I'll do it, I'll have a little different rules. Okay. And then here's adaptation 1. They were a low level class and I had them with the words. I tried it again with another city. And I said, what about you guys, instead of writing random words, use each letter as and make a sentence, make a complete sentence, right? And they're like, no, that's too hard. And as it was kind of coming out of my mouth, I kind of thought it could be too hard. So I just, like Terry mentioned, if you have a bad idea and it's evidently a bad idea, say there's no shame in changing it. I think the shame would be if you know it's a bad idea and then you keep going to try to save face earlier, and then that just makes it worse. So that's too hard. And I said, yeah, because I thought of myself of how I would do it, and I had to think a little heavy to come up with a sentence for every letter. And if I have to think a little bit, then a beginner level class, it would be way too difficult. So I said, that's too difficult, right? Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, just write the words. And then I added some other stipulations for the words, right? No shame in adapting something that could be a bad idea and too difficult or too easy, and adjusting on the fly. That comes with time and experience, and you just have to keep trying, right? But there's no shame in adjusting midway or letting your students add some stipulations too. Elicit some stipulations from them. What should we do? Time limit here? Or shall we race? What do you want to do? And then let them involved in the creation process. That will get them more invested in the activity. Okay. Adaptation 2, which I just started yesterday. It's going to end up being 2 classes worth, but since it's Halloween time, I changed it from city race to Halloween race, right? And just so you know, I do write my list of planned activities on the board. That's one of the things I do. The students know when they come in what they're going to do or what my proposed ideas are on the board. So I wrote Halloween race. So what we did yesterday, I had them in groups brainstorm. I gave them 5 minutes, and you can give them whatever time you feel is appropriate for your classes. But I gave them 5 minutes to brainstorm as many Halloween related words as they knew, right? And when you do this sort of thing, they think at first, I only know like 2 or 3. Well, in the end, they got more than 12 because I set a limit. I said, okay, let's set a target number. Do you guys think you could come up with 20 words? Like, no, we can't do that. Okay, what about 15? So it's kind of a negotiation kind of thing. They're like, 7. It's like, what about 15? And they're like, 10. And I'm like, can you come up with 14? Maybe. And some are starting to say yeah, and some no. And then we settled on 12 Halloween words. That's fair, right? And I was like, okay, reach 12. And if you get to 12, we'll settle on 12. 12 is fair. Most students in class say yes, and boom, it's 12. You set a limit. You set a target. Yes. Then I said, okay, I need to make this interesting. If you reach to 12, then if you remember my bank system, I have a bank system. I will put that in the link below. You can go to Sweed Academy and go to lesson ideas and then classroom management, and you'll see my bank reward system. So essentially, if you don't know that, every class, they can earn up to $4. If the class gets a little out of hand or they get crazy, I take $1 away. Whatever they're left at the end of the class, then I give them that money, and they can save that money for prizes like video, like watch a video in class, like watch a longer video in class, like play a Kahoot or another game whenever they want. They just cash it in and buy it. And then the highest prize is watch a full film, which will take a couple of classes. So I took $1 away. And I said, okay, I didn't have to, I could do this even if I didn't take the $1 away. But I said, if you reach 12 words, then I'll give you a bonus. I'll give you an extra $1. Okay? And that gives them some extra motivation to try and to put that effort and to reach that that limit. And then I said, but don't stop at 12. What I suggest is do as many as you can in that 5 minutes, because if some are spelled wrong, if some are the wrong words, if we don't say them, then, or if we don't say it the way you think that you do, or you say the wrong word, then you did 15, then you can get 3 words wrong and you're still at that 12 limit. Okay, so they did that and they got it just in time. And then I gave them time to each write their brainstorm on the board. And they wrote it. And then I counted them 1, 2, like if they said party Halloween, no, that didn't count because it's Halloween party. So I'd cross that off. That didn't count as 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it got down to the last one. They had 11 because some didn't count. Some they wrote twice. One student wrote it and then the other student wrote it. They may have spelled it wrong or something, but they were down to 11 and one more word, they would have gotten it. And it was close and it was spelled a little wrong, but it was hard. I gave it to them. They came up with 12. They worked really well. They came up with 12 and they reached the goal. And so coming back to Halloween race, that's part 1. If you just want to stick there, that's what I did in the first class. The next class, I'm going to take the Halloween words, choose one and write it vertically and do the city race that Harry described. And that's one way how I'm adapting it and making it like to seasonal. You can do it with Christmas race, right? You can do it with your special holiday race, right? From whatever country you're teaching in, right? Adapt it and make it personal to your students, right? And then they will get much more involved. Good idea? All right. This is so much easier when I'm talking with an actual person and getting feedback. It's always kind of awkward talking to just the camera. I'm sitting in this room all by myself and I'm just talking to you, but thank you for listening. Now, the next activity that I want to talk about is an activity that Terry said last week, or actually 2 weeks ago now. And this is the conversation tennis. And if you remember, I'll put that up here too. And if you remember conversation tennis, he showed a question mark made of tennis balls and he elicited conversation, right? You can always elicit conversation and always elicit language from your students, right? That's a tip that sometimes early on in my career, I didn't really take advantage of, but you can always elicit conversation, whether it's making the rules for something or guessing what the activity is going to be, giving them clues, things like that, right? So he'd elicit information and then it was a conversation between 2 people and he'd pose like a topic, right? I don't know if he posed a topic. That's what I did, right? I posed a topic. Like, what'd you do last weekend? Then person 1 answers and gives it to person 2. Person 2 takes their answer, what they said, and says their answer, or they kind of reformat a question or tell their answer and bounce an answer like a continuation conversation to continue the conversation, maybe in another direction, maybe in the same direction, but continue a related conversation, right? And then person 1 would eventually answer that and then re-ask another question related to the topic, and they'd go back and forth, right? Remember that? If you don't, then go back because it was a great activity to do. And he also gave some adaptations there too, like having 3-person groups and have 1 person kind of bounce the ideas off of him. What I did another type of adaptation, and I actually brought a tennis ball into the class. And I did this actually, I'm telling you, do these things with adults too. It's beautiful because I go to a top professional, like a really big lawyer's office to teach lessons there, private lessons and group lessons to their lawyers. And so I brought this in and we're sitting around the table and I'd roll don't play dodgeball, right? But I'd roll the ball to somebody and ask them a question. And then they were supposed to take it, answer the question, and roll it to somebody else and ask them a continuation question, right? The catch is, and if you remember what we talked about with Terry, you can't say, how about you? If you say, how about you, you're out. Well, I didn't say that to the adults. That's for the teens. But you can't say, how about you? And actually, it's funny because, and also celebrate your students' mistakes. This is or not mistakes, but celebrate when your students do something wrong if it will help the benefit the lesson, right? So I'll give you an example. The first time I did this, I rolled it to a student, to an adult lawyer student, and I said, what did you do last weekend? I don't remember what I said. I said, oh, I went to the cinema, or I rested, and then she passed it to somebody else, and she said, how about you? And I said, thank you for saying that. Can I have the ball, please? Because kind of I didn't say this, but that's to transmit the idea that when you have the ball, it's your turn to talk, right? Can I have the ball, please? Thank you for saying that, because that is a perfect example of what I don't want, right? And but I'm celebrating. I'm trying to make her feel good. I'm not saying it to shame her, right? I'm like, that's perfect. So thank you, because I don't want just simply, how about you? That's for more basic levels, right? And you're giving them feedback, or you're correcting them at the same time as you're lifting them up, right? So thank you for doing that. That I forgot to say that. And you can even throw yourself under the bus. Thank you for that, because I forgot to say that. I don't want, how about you? Because that's just basic, right? You want to continue with something to continue the conversation and add to it, right? So thank you for doing that. That's the perfect example and the perfect time to do it, right in the beginning, right? So as you're correcting, elevate them if you have to. Deflect yourself to put yourself down, I didn't explain that right. Thank you for helping me, right? And then the correction's made. No one else said, how about you? Or if they did, they'd correct themselves, and the game flowed smoothly. So everyone had a turn, passing it back and forth, and I'm definitely going to do this again with them, because they got really engaged. You have the ball, it kind of breaks. It kind of just adds another dimension, right? It adds another layer. Just adding this, right? Roll it across the table. They're sitting at their cubicle all day, right? They get to have a ball. In the end, we're animals, right? We like to play. I just have 2 new cats, and they're always playing with whatever they have, right? So anyway, that's adaptation for adults. And I transferred this to the kids, my teens class. So that was professional adults, high level English, 8:00 in the morning, and it worked with them. In the afternoon, I teach a teens class, 13 years old, that A2 class, the lower level. And I thought, I'm going to do the same thing. So we came there. I had them, instead of sitting around the table, I had them come and sit on the floor in a circle. So we all sat on the floor. There were 6 or 7 of us. And you throw it to somebody. You have to lay down the ground rules. Number 1, how about you? If you say and you, if you say and you, I'll kill you. No, just kidding. Actually, I do say that, but it's I say it in a way that they know that it's joking, I think. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, if you say that again, I'll kill you. But anyway, if you say and you're out. And I kind of do that, right? Because that's my style. Maybe that's not your style, but that's my style, right? And teens love it, because then they'll get it and just go overboard. But it makes for a light environment. But lay the ground rules. If you say and you're out. If you throw the ball outside of the circle, or meaning if you try to beam somebody, if you throw it crazy, then you're out, right? And if I think those are the only ones, right? Oh, and by the way, like Terry said, I do the countdown. And if you get to 0, you're out, right? Give a countdown, right? You don't even have to say anything. Just that. And then the students will start doing that too. If I forget sometimes to do the countdown, another student will do it. Right? It's beautiful. And those are my adaptations for that, right? In a group, get everybody involved, and then you throw it to somebody else, and they will throw it to somebody else, and they will throw it to somebody else. And like what starts out, the first question could be like, what's your favorite food, or what did you have for lunch? They answer, I had meatballs and potatoes. Do you like meatballs? And then like, and so do you like to kick a soccer ball? Right. So it went from meatballs to a soccer ball. As long as it's somewhat related, I don't care because it flows. Right. And then the last question could be about a movie or about something like that. Right. And it's just beautiful. And make note after the activity, make note of where the conversation started and where it ended. And it's just a fun observation to make that I think your students will like too. Mine did, the adults and the teens. So these are 2 adaptations for wonderful lessons that I've learned from doing these podcasts. And I hope that you can take these and adapt yours to your style. And if you do this, by the way, anytime you adapt a lesson and that you get a lesson from us, then send me a tweet or send a Facebook message or share it and tag me, because I want to hear your adaptations, because then I'll use them in my classes too, right? Okay, now on to the new lessons that you've never heard before in your life. Well, maybe you've heard them before in your life, but not from me. Anyway, so I have 2 lessons. They're kind of, one is speaking related, and the other one is speaking or writing. You can make it, or general conversation. You can adapt it anywhere that you see fit. So the one speaking activity, I like to use it as a closing activity because everyone kind of gets involved. Again, we're sitting in a circle in our class. You can, if you don't want to sit in a circle, you can have the students bring their chairs in a circle. I found teens like sitting on the floor because they're in chairs all day at their school. And in between classes, a lot of times they'll sit around in circles, right? That's something I've noticed in the public school. So this is called, I don't know what it's called, but I like to call it This Is Not, right? And so first thing I do, I have the students, I say, okay, go to your desk or go around the room and get an object and bring it back here. Any object. And so the objective of the game is this is perfect for beginner classes because especially the beginning of the year, you're working on to be and positive and the negative and questions and like to be and plurals and singulars. And this is just a great way to practice this. So you take an object, for example, this, and I'll demonstrate first, as we've seen, as Terry shared with us. And I've said many times, you want to always demonstrate an activity, right? So you take this and you say, this is not what it really is, right? So this is not a marker. This is, and then you have to invent something else that it could remind you of, right? So this is not a marker. This is a rocket. And then you do like a little action with what you say. And then you pass it to the person next to you. The person next to you takes it and says, this is not what you said. This is not a rocket. This is a telescope. And then they pass it. And then the other person, this is not a telescope. This is and then like they might get stuck, right? And that's when your counting goes, right? And then that'll help them think, even if they don't think of something good, they'll usually think of something, right? I didn't tell them that there's a penalty for getting to 0 on this one. They feel the pressure, right? So like, this is not a telescope. This is a gun. And it's funny because you'll see like boys and girls that think of different things. This is not a gun. This is a telephone or something like that, right? So everyone goes around in the circle, and then I, as the teacher, or you as the teacher, will remind everyone of everyone's choice. Okay, we have a rocket, a telescope, a telephone. Okay, and then you vote. Like, close your eyes, and who votes for the rocket? And then they tell them you can only vote once, and you can't vote for yourself. But this is a really, like, they love it. They love the teens. I haven't done this with the adults. I'm going to, though, because I'm going to see what they can come up with. But the teens, I can tell you for a fact, they love it. And adults love it, too, because we played it in our summer camp. One of our helpers came and we were brainstorming, and she said that this is something they used to do in her youth group or something. And she threw the idea out. We loved it, right? Everyone loves it. It's a cool activity. It's a cool game. And so there's that. It works with, like, it builds creativity. It has them think on the spot. It has them vote and become really involved. There are a lot of Easter egg lessons that the students will get from this one too. So something common that students will have. This is not and it works with vocabulary too. This is not what is this called? Pencil case. And then write that on the board. I always write the vocabulary on the board. This is not a pencil case. This is a shoe. And they'll pretend to put it on their foot, right? So this is a cool activity. It's fun. And it works with, like, plurals, right? So let me see if I can, like, let's say, okay, I have a deck of cards, right? So they might say, like, this is not cards. And I say, ooh, that's plural. Do we say this is not? And sometimes they'll know, sometimes they won't. These are not, right? And then they naturally have to change it to plural when it's appropriate. These are not, and like glasses, or these are not glasses. It is, and then yes, it is. They are. Yeah, tell me again. They are. Tell me again, all of it. These are not glasses. They are eyes of a puppet. Something like that. So this is great. A great activity, and adaptive for all ages, even if it's for older or higher advanced levels, and use it as like a warmer or, a transition game, right? Or something just to lighten up the mood. It's great. It's perfect. Do it. How long have we been going here? I might have to save this next. No, I'm going to tell you now. Okay, this next one, it's great. It's perfect. And I love this. I do this for my one-on-one classes. I do it for like teens classes. I did not do this for a big class. I taught at a school last year, and I had like 27, 30 students in a class, and they were just crazy. They were out of control a lot. And this lesson is too good to be used when nobody's really even listening to me. So I didn't do it for them. So maybe like smaller academy classes, and I do it for every single one of my one-on-one students eventually, right? And it's called The Path. And I just recently made I don't have it here. I just recently made a worksheet to go with this, and I've improved and upgraded the worksheet. And essentially it has, hold on, I'll be right back. I don't go live, but I like to treat it like it's live. So I'm not cutting this out. By the way, about me worksheet, and they draw a selfie. That's a great idea. Okay, so I gave them this. I didn't give them this, but I had them draw this because I forgot it when I went to the class. But I had them draw like 8 boxes, right? I had them draw lines. So there are 8 boxes on their paper. And I told them basically that we're going to, I want you to work on describing things. Describe things so that I can picture it in my mind. If I can't see what you're doing, what you're thinking, I want to be able to picture the same thing that you are doing. So, a good activity to do with this before this activity is the describe, like go on Instagram, describe a photo, and your partner draws what you described, and then you match the photos. I will put that, if I remember to put all of these here, I'll put that up in the corner too if you're watching on YouTube. And if not, then just go to Sweed Academy and look for describe a picture activity. It's in the speaking section. But so do that first, work on describing, and then say, we're going to tell a story. So I'm going to give you the outline of the story, and I want you to write the details, fill in the details. And I like this to give them space. And if they make big blocks, even better. And I didn't want them to focus on writing. So I turned this more into a speaking activity. I had them write just keywords in each box. But some of my students did write out their entire story. So just play with that as you see fit, right? And some students draw pictures. But anyway, and I want you to play this with me. So you follow what I tell you to do. So we are making a story, and I want you to write as detailed description of what I say as possible. And each of you are going to have a slightly different story, and then we'll compare at the end, right? It'll be a lot of fun. So the first thing in the first box, write a path. Do you know what a path is? And it's always good to ask them that because maybe they don't know, or maybe they misunderstood and they think you said a part or something like that, right? What's a path? Like a small road in the woods or a field or something like that. Okay. A path. You're walking down a path. I want you to describe the path. What kind of path is it? Describe the path. Describe what you see, what you hear, and how you feel. Take a few minutes and do that. And then I'll give them a few minutes until I see most of the class has finished writing or thinking. And then the next step up ahead in the next box, write a stick. A stick. And then, do you know what a stick is? Yeah. Okay. So write a stick. And I want you to answer, what does the stick look like? How big is it? And what do you do with it? Right? And then they're going to write. And then when I see, then I'll continue. And I'll say, in the next box, you're walking down a path. You saw a stick. Whatever you do with it is up to you. But now you come to a fallen tree. Write fallen tree in the next block. But you see in here, these are already there. I want you to describe the fallen tree, what it looks like, and how big is it, and what do you do when you come to the tree. Then they'll do that. And then you continue down the path and you come to a fork in the road. Now, here's the place where they might not know what a fork in the road is, right? And they're like a fork, like to eat? And yeah, can you imagine what a fork in the road is? Sometimes they'll guess, sometimes they won't, but say, well, it's where the road splits into 2 directions, right? That's called what we call in English a fork in the road, right? Write that down. Fork in the road. It's a kind of a weird thing, right? So you come to a fork in the road. I want you to describe what each side, the left and the right, what each side looks like and which way you go. Then they'll do that. they get really descriptive. I'm really surprised always about how descriptive they get with each side, right? They're very imaginative, adults and teens. And then up ahead, you keep going and you come to a bear. And at least for Spanish speakers, you're going to have to make sure that they know what bear is. I did this once, and one of the students thought that I said a bird. And so that changes things completely. It's not a bird, it's a bear. And work with pronunciation with this. A great opportunity to work with pronunciation too. A bear. So I want you to describe what the bear looks like and how you feel. And they'll do that, right? And then you keep going, and you come up to a wall. You might want to work on the pronunciation wall, because I had one student think I said wolf, right? So be very careful, like a wall. Do you know what I mean by a wall? Yeah, like what Donald Trump wants to build, right? That joke's always there. So I want you to do two things, right? What does the wall look like? How big is it? And what you do. And then there is a sound behind the wall. So describe the sound. What kind of sound is it? So then they'll do that, and that will probably take around 15 minutes or more, because they're writing, they're thinking, you're taking your time, you're going slow. And then you realize, and then after you finish, you tell them that, well, you can do two things from this. You can take this any direction you want. So use your judgment. What I did this last time, which is probably the best idea that I've done, was I told them, okay, now this is actually a psychological profile of your mind and your state of mind. Would you like me to reveal what these mean now, or do you want to share your stories and then I'll reveal it afterwards? And they decided to reveal it afterwards. I think that's the best option. They shared their stories, and be careful with the teens, because I did do this with the teens class, and I shared the stories before I told them that it was a psychological profile. And the one boy, when it came to I'll tell you that afterwards. So it's a psychological profile. And reveal, and I hope that you did this too. If you didn't, just go back and listen to it again in the parts and then do it for yourself. But maybe you had an image in your mind, right, of what it was. So the path is how you see life, right? You know, some paths, like people say, it's rainy and stormy. Some paths are dark. Some paths are narrow. Some paths are beautiful with flowers and animals and trees. Some are barren like a desert. It's awesome to see the variety. Next, the stick is small problems in your life, right? Like, what do you do with small problems? And I've seen students, some have just like walked by and not even paid it any attention because it's a path and they're sticks and paths. And some use them to help them walking. It's a big walking stick. Some, like, it's really curious because some take it and then break it or hit it against a tree. Like, people do all sorts of things with these. It's very interesting what they do. And then the fallen tree are big problems. What do you do with big problems? Some of the most interesting things I've had people say is like, well, I cut it up. I stood on top and I cut it up, cut the tree up. Another one, they like picked it up and carried it a little bit. Another one like picked it up and moved it to the side of the path. Normally what they do is jump over it. Like, sometime one man, he was walking down the path. He had his family with him the whole way, and he sat on the path while his kids were playing on it. That was beautiful. That was awesome. So it's beautiful to see the different choices. Next, the fork in the road. As you could probably guess, it's like your social or political views, which this is really interesting. Like, some people have very different views on either side. And some, they're very similar. And some, the fork is narrow. Some, the fork is wide. One Muslim lady that I had, she saw the right, very dark and scary and like dangerous looking. The other path was like bright and sunny, and she went the dark and scary path. Crazy, right? I mean, not crazy bad, but like incredible the different answers you'll get from students. Next, the bear, the most interesting one. It's how you view the opposite sex, right? How you view men or women. And I don't know if this is technically the opposite sex. It might be view people you're attracted to. I don't know about the details there, but we'll just say for argument's sake, the opposite sex, right? I've had people say everything from like scary, and this is where it can get iffy around teenagers, because I had one teenager, before he knew this was a psychological test, he said, when I got to the bear, I was very scared and nervous and I ran away. And he was kind of like a cool kid, but you could tell that there was underlying like insecurities, as there usually are with teenagers. And like when I revealed the meaning of the bear, like another girl in the class was like and looked over at him. And I don't know if he noticed or anything, but I noticed it and I felt a little like I made a mistake. But the bear is the opposite sex. And just recently I had someone say that the bear, it was a baby bear. And so he started to get a little closer, and then the mama bear came and he got scared and ran away. Very appropriate, right? So, and then the wall is how they view death, and the sound behind the wall is the afterlife. And this is just a fun activity, whether you believe this or not, whether it's true or not, kind of doesn't even matter, because it's fun to do in class and it's fun to think about. And students always have a good time with this, a good laugh. And a lot of them will think about it more and more and more and do it with other people. And it's just a great bonding time. It's a great thing to do together and just have fun with, right? And like I said, you can take it in the form of just telling stories, be as descriptive as possible, write down your story and practice your writing, build vocabulary. If a student wants to describe something with adjectives and they don't know exactly how to describe it, great, look it up, write it down. These are new vocabulary words you're learning that you really want to say, right? Like Terry said, we're making everything relevant to our real lives as possible. And these are the lessons and the ideas that I wanted to share with you today. It was only me, but hopefully you found value in it. Hopefully I gave you some things to think about. I certainly had fun with you, and I'm going to do this again too. But thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with me. Remember, if you did find value with this, if you did like it, be sure to subscribe, follow, share. Share this with other teachers. Share this with groups, like any teachers groups you're in on Facebook, teachers meetings, anything. Spread the word, because as you see in my followers and view count, I'm not good at marketing. I'm not good at advertising. I'm not good at getting the word out by myself. That's why I need you. So tell 2 friends, they'll tell 2 people, they'll tell 2 people, and they'll tell 2 people. And let's get this show on the road. Help a brother out. Help a brother out. If I'm helping you out, you help me out, and we'll all help each other out, right? I'm working on a really cool package. I'm not going to tell you too much right now, but it's to help new teachers and prospective teachers to really get direction on their way and to help them in the TEFL life. I'm really excited about that. More to come about that in the future. And that's it. That's it. I think I'm out. I think I've spent enough of your time. I think we've spent enough time together. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending this time. If you're watching it until now, this is getting a little weird. I think it's time to sign off. Hey guys, I'm sitting here with my daughter Sophia. She's recording this, and I just want to thank you for watching this video. If you like it and you want to see another video like it, then right next to me you can click another video for a fun lesson idea or a teaching tip. And don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you get new videos every week.